I was at the Dollar Tree the other day and I found this frame that says remote learning in progress. Thank heavens we're not doing that anymore, because that was a really challenging time in my home. I also picked up this chess game, and we're going to be using some of the pieces to create legs to turn this remote learning in progress sign into a little tray. I'm also going to be using eggs and some Spanish moss, because we're going to turn this frame into a little nest box, which is going to be so adorable. I honestly think you can turn anything into a nest. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you agree. I feel like you can pretty much turn anything into a nest. And I thought this would be so cute if I almost made it like a little hen's nest box for their eggs for the spring. I thought it had such a farmhouse shabby chic look to it, which just makes my heart so happy. So I'm gluing on the legs with some E6000 and some hot glue. I'm really making sure that hot glue is seeping down in there, but I always put in the E6000 first and make sure that makes contact with the frame. And then I sneak around that corner and get all that hot glue up in there and let it trickle all into the little chest piece and then all over down into the sign where it's sticking. Now I'm going to come in on the art side of this frame and I'm going to put some glue. I'm going to add in some Spanish moss. And once that's all settled, I'm going to make little holes so that I can glue in my eggs so that they stay nice in place and they're glued to the bottom of this artwork frame. Now you can see here, I'm just wiggling my fingers around, opening that up some. I'm going to make sure the glue goes up inside the egg, because if you just put the glue on the egg, it's plastic, it's going to pop off. But if you get some up in the egg and then come out around the egg, that's going to lock it into place and it will never pop off. It'll be on there nice and secure. So I'm just going to wiggle in 4 eggs because that's the width of this frame that it can fit. And then at the front, we could stop there and we could even distress it with a little bit of white paint to make it even more shabby. It's up to you with what you prefer in your home. But I'm going to use one of these garden tags. I popped off the stick and I'm going to glue that onto the front. And out of comedic purpose, I thought I'm going to list this as 5 cents. Yeah, right, eggs are 5 cents right now. They're so expensive. Groceries are already so ridiculous. So we're going to say our eggs are 5 cents because we can dream. We can dream a little bit. Go ahead and glue your little tag onto the front, and when you're done, you have the most charming shabby chic farmhouse decor piece for somewhere in your home. This project is so quick. I found these darling houses at the Dollar Tree. I loved that they had the gingham on the front, but I wanted to dress it up a little bit more. So I'm going to take some white ribbon and I'm just going to make a simple bow. I don't want it to be too long because it's going to be towards the bottom of my little house. And now I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm going to just simply glue that bow on and glue on that greenery. This is going to jazz it up a little bit instead of it just being a plain house, which, by the way, it's already so cute, right? It doesn't need it, but why stop there when you can personalize these kind of things and make them your own? Now, could you imagine? You could do any type of floral on the front of this house and any color bow to match your decor to personalize it. So I'm just adding some greenery and I'm adding that bow, and then I thought I'm going to add a little wooden heart because it perfectly matched the trim of the roof, and at this point it's just so beautiful. Now we're going to make a super easy wreath that is so stunning and high impact in your home. I picked this one up from Joann's and ended up getting it 50% off because it's larger than the ones that they sell at the Dollar Tree. I'm also going to take a book that I got from the Dollar Tree. I dunked it in water and put it outside and let it air dry so that it looked nice and weathered. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rip off a bunch of pages and we're going to just simply cut that in half so that they're shorter. You don't want them to be too long because otherwise this will be a massive, massive wreath. Go ahead and separate all those pages. And now we're going to come in and we're going to start to ruffle those papers. This is such a cool way to upcycle a book that is old, that you've already read or not reading, or you just found it at a thrift store. For me, like I said, I picked mine up for $1.25 from the Dollar Tree. So what you're going to do is you're going to put a line of glue. I like to let it sit for a second so that it starts to dry a little bit, not where it's just too piping hot because you will burn your finger through the paper. And then you're going to start to add on those ruffles. And you're just basically going to keep repeating this process. Hot glue, put down ruffle paper, and I like everything to always be secure. So I'm going to come back in while stuff is drying a little bit, and I'm going to just simply staple this down. This is going to solve the solution. I know a lot of you say, hey, I live in a place where there's really, really hot heat, and the hot glue doesn't stay. So if you add on that staple, it'll really make sure it stays. Once you've gone all the way around the wreath, which by the way, I'm going to be honest, this took me some time. It took me about 4 hours, and I ended up enlisting the help of my son just so I didn't hurt my fingers after a while from crinkling the paper up so much. I went all the way around and I made sure on the back side that I was having a nice finished look. I think this is where it makes it look more high-end quality, where you would see something like this in a boutique. Go ahead and make sure the very ending points leaves it where there's kind of a valley, so that way you can add on ribbon when you want to. Now I took a piece of ribbon and I first wrapped it around. I didn't glue it down, and then I glued my bow on top. This is the back side of that ribbon, not glued down, so that way I can tie it on and I can change out the ribbon all the time. Because with a project like this, if I'm going to go through the effort to make it, because it's so hands-on, I want to be able to make sure I can switch out the bow. So just make sure whatever bow that you're layering lots of different ribbons on, make sure you can switch it out. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead at the top and add on something to be able to hang it up. This is just such a beautiful farmhouse look to hang on a door inside your home or even your front door, and it'll just get even more weathered over time. Our supplies for this next DIY craft is going to be this windmill decor piece in the garden section, this frame, and we're going to start by opening it up, popping out the back. We're going to put the glass over to the side and keep the paper that is the artwork inside of the frame. Now we're going to get some scrapbook paper. This paper pad is from My Mind's Eye. It's from a couple seasons back, so you probably won't be able to find it, but they have lots of replications of this type of look at all kinds of different craft stores. I'm going to go with this really beautiful tone-on-tone paper, lay the old artwork on top of that paper, and then simply cut around it to get the same size. Now I'm going to use my tape gun. I'm going to come in and add quite a bit of adhesive because we're going to have something on the front that's kind of heavy. We want to make sure it's really glued down well. Rub it into place once you've got it on there straight, and then go ahead and take your windmill. This one is a little bit trickier, but thankfully I have some strong, good pliers. I went ahead and cut it apart and then just simply glued that on to my frame. Now at this point, it is so adorable. We can come in and customize whatever we want to say on the frame on the lower part. With my rub-ons from the Dollar Tree, I'm going to go with a fun, bold statement that says, "Family is my everything." I am so passionate about my kids and my husband and my family. I just feel like this is a really fun statement to put on here. So I'm going to go ahead and add on some greenery, a bow to really bring in that country charm look. And then here are my little dots. Family, ... is my everything. I am going to be using one of the bead wreaths. I obviously have some left over from a different project. One of these darling signs from the home section and some ribbon that's a burlap ribbon. I'm going to take off the string that's on the sign, and I'm going to add on this bead wire right onto the sign and I'm going to bend it around and create a darling handle for the sign. This is so much more high-end than just having a piece of twine on it. I love doing things like this because it really does elevate the value of the sign. So just go ahead and bend the wire back to the size that you need, and then you're going to lock it into place. Really easy peasy on this one. Once the wire is clamped down where someone can't get scratched by it, I'm going to go ahead and remove the sticker using my heat gun and my scraper tool. Once I have that up, I'm then going to move on to one of my new favorite techniques this season is stamping on ribbon. I love the look of stamping on ribbon. It is such an easy thing to do. I'm going to take that ribbon, I'm going to tape it down so it doesn't move around on me. And then I'm going to simply use whatever letters I need to spell out my phrase, and I'm just going to stamp right on it. Now, I've learned with stamping on ribbon, your best look is stamping about 2 or 3 times depending on what kind of ink you're using. I love using Crayola markers because it's easy to store them and you have all kinds of colors, very affordable. Instead of just buying one ink pad that can cost a lot, I'm going to just stamp on there 3 times for each letter until I spell out the whole phrase. Wash your hands. This is going to be going in my bathroom. Once everything is all stamped out, I'm now going to bring that, line it up so it's centered in the middle of the sign, and then I'm going to glue it down. The glue, make sure you don't put too much glue. I put a little dot that was just a little too much and it will bleed through the ribbon. You don't want that to happen. So just do a nice quick thin line of glue. You can see right above the A, there's a little bit that seeped through. It did eventually dry, but sometimes hot glue, depending on what kind it is, can leave a little bit of a mark behind. So just glue that down, bring around the ribbon on the back sides, glue that down. I use a popsicle stick whenever I'm working with this kind of ribbon because it will seep through and it will burn you. So I'm going to just put it down and then push with that popsicle stick so I don't burn myself. Cut off the extra, and you have the most darling, high-end looking farmhouse sign to hang up in your bathroom to remind your guests and family members, don't forget to wash your hands.